Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, welcome to those who are new here. Today, we're jumping into the question that just kind of has been bubbling up over the last couple days. There were those really intense days where the energy was kind of thick, difficult to navigate through. And that is sort of giving way to this almost aching sort of I've been at this too long sort of energy. We felt it with the exhaustion that we talked about yesterday. Been feeling it for a couple of days. So we're going to look into the question that someone asked, which was basically, I'm exhausted because of the way things have been going. There's this thick, sludgy, kind of heavy feeling. What do I do with this? You talk about making the best of it. What does making the best of it look like? So we're going to devote some time to that today. We're going to also look into maybe what's driving some of that. So, of course, it'll be a general reading as always, a general reading for this collective. So, it's not going to resonate for everybody, but if you do find that it's resonating with you, maybe take a look at some of the other messages that have come out so far because all of these are very much connected. And if it's you, you may want to subscribe. So, we will go ahead and I think we're going to take this as my leading deck today. And the first thing we're looking into is that emotional and energetic backdrop. Heavy on the energy between the two of you. Like, what is going on that you two are responding to, Eight of Earth, but also kind of what's surrounding you. There's a stability in this energy. Well, I went way too far. There's a stability in this energy, an emotional stability in this energy that is sort of cradling both of you while you're in this uncomfortable spot. You also have this Seven of Fire here. Seven of Fire is, this is going to be that deep down confidence, that deep down ability to feel like you've got this or like you'll be able to manage what's coming your direction. So these are a good foundational energy to kind of have in your background. It's feeling like you can manage what's there. You feel confident about being able to manage what's there, although that doesn't say anything about your desire to manage it. And we know your person has been dealing with some low levels of motivation in some cases, and then in some places, even depression. So we've got the moon. There's that typical inability to see everything that's going on around you, sort of a mysterious cast over things. Page of Swords, though, it's like you're ready to go anyway, even though you sense the stability beneath the surface. And this is within yourself, but the thing is, it's happening independently of each other. So both of you, it feels like, are navigating this energy pretty well. It's definitely difficult to see ahead, but no one's comfortable about it. The alchemist energy here, we saw this in one of the readings not too long ago. It's just reminding me very much of that same feeling. Yeah, the magician came out and it felt like this was just sort of your ability to manifest with the energy that was around you right now. Changes happening in the household, changes happening in even just getting some work done around the house or getting something installed feels like it brings a different sort of emotion, a different sort of feeling with it. But your ability to do something with it is what's important here. So one of the reasons that we look at that emotional and energetic backdrop is to get a feel for kind of what is the rest of what you're working with here in this energy. And when you see that you've got this alchemy energy, this alchemist energy, that's an ability to create something that is stable. Like you have the ability to take what you're given as far as an environment and make something out of it. That's what's happening over here. This 10 of coins in reverse isn't necessarily bad. It's not necessarily that type of change going on in a household, but it is change that's happening and being coordinated. So that's one thing that's good for you in this energy, even though I've heard it described by some of you as a disturbing type of stagnation. You're ready to move on with your life, but this energy just keeps kind of almost pursuing you. And that's another thing. So one of the questions that has come up periodically, and we haven't quite done a reading. Well, we have done a reading on it, but it's been a while. One of the questions that came up was about whether you could become the pursuer or the chaser, because a lot of times when we've got these divine masculine, divine feminine interactions like this, a lot of times the divine masculine is playing the role of the runner, where you have the divine feminine playing the role of the chaser. One of the things that has happened in this collective quite often is that we see that divine feminine not really engaging in a whole lot of chasing. Instead, it's more a matter of, hold on, how do I solve this? Which is incredibly consistent with what we've seen. And it's the way that we ask our questions. It's this collective wants to solve problems, and is very connected to their higher selves in order to be able to do so. But it's just, I don't know. It's a big challenge trying to figure out how you're best going to be able to move forward while learning these lessons, I guess, at the same time. And one of the things that happens is sometimes you do see a change in that dynamic where you become the energy that's moving away, and that energy starts to kind of come after you because you've created a little bit of an energy vacuum. So I feel like that's a little bit of what's happening in this energy that you're having happen here. There's something that has become less of a constraint for you. I think it hasn't changed anything for your person. It feels like it's less of a constraint for you, and yet an opportunity for you to feel triggered. But the thing is, it's like you're going to get triggered, and then you're going to turn around and say, hold on, here's a lesson that I've already learned. So it's like, sometimes we get that Empress card that comes out in the reverse, and it feels like I'm not ready. And you look at it and it's like, okay, guys, you know what? You really are ready. It just, you haven't had a chance to test this lesson out yet. This is one of those times where you get triggered, you have a chance to test the lesson out, and you find out that having passed it already, having already solved this problem, or at least having solved it to the point that you have, is incredibly helpful and causes you not to turn around and become a chaser again, you know? And so it's progressive though. So as you come back and learn a little bit more, you know, you're going to find that these things trigger you, but they trigger you less and less. Let's see what else comes up for you in your current energy. This is the energy that you guys are in right now. And this is the backdrop for that energy. So you've got some King of Coins energy. This is a very confident energy, but it has a little bit of fear about retaining that confidence with it coming out with the Strength card here. Doesn't seem to be stopping you. You've got the Chariot here as well, talking about moving forward. Now, the Chariot in reverse had come out for your person before, talking about kind of a lack of motivation for them. But I do see that there is some movement happening between the two of you. So it's energetic movement. Some of you may be having some conversations, but I think it's going to not be the majority of you. I think most of you, that movement is still very much under the surface. But you can look for it to start changing the way things feel, and maybe start mixing in a little bit more of a lighthearted sort of energy. Maybe maybe making use of some of this ability to, you have this ability to really utilize that lighthearted energy. And so I feel like maybe that's part of what's going to come in here. I'm not sure what form that takes. And maybe that's something that we look at when we get into the extended. But for right now, we've got this energetic and emotional backdrop that feels a little bit cautious, a little bit cloudy, very much impacted by this energy that is, that we've seen all around. And so there's this sense of like this mutual exhaustion, and it is a depression that happens almost on their side, may even be coming over to you a little bit. There's definitely that sense though, and I've seen this in several readings here recently, of both of you coming in contact with situations that help you understand exactly how healed you are and exactly how healed you are not. So let's look into it a little bit more. You've got this thick, heavy feeling. What do you do with it? I guess let's learn a little bit more about it before we jump into what you do with it, because I want to get you your advice over here like we usually typically do, unless a ton of advice comes out here in the middle. But we'll do this just kind of figuring out what it is that you need to know about this energy in order to be successful right now, because I feel like there is that sense of catch it while you can, grab it by the tail while you can. But that can be difficult to figure out. You might be like, grab what by the tail? So you got the Nine of Wind over here. There is a tendency to want to like to come away from the edge, to come to recoil, to get to try to get to a place that feels like less anxiety rather than to try and take on more. It's a matter of wanting to kind of take on less. And it's not necessarily just an emotion of depression. It's got a feeling of just like tired, caution, wanting to have a little bit of caution because you don't feel like you have the energy for a lot of things going wrong right now. It's that sort of thing. So there's a lot of caution in this Nine of Wind, which is like a Nine of Swords. So we've got the Sister of Water here in the reverse. There's a card of, so the Sister of Water would be a card of communication, and it would be a card of kind of breaking the ice with this sort of springtime energy that we've been feeling here lately. But what I'm feeling here is not so much the desire to do that. It is really a desire to just kind of keep to oneself. With the Five of Fire in the reverse, it's a desire to not have to struggle. It feels like there's this foundational energy beneath you that is in pretty good shape, but there's also a desire not to have to use the strength that is found there. It's a lot of, I don't really know that I take this as unmotivated energy so much as energy that feels like it needs to take a break right now. So that, I'm feeling that pretty strongly with both of you. Now, this is less confident. This is less feeling like they could maintain. Not so much can't do it right, but just can't keep doing it. Can't keep having the energy to move forward with this. It doesn't have that stink of regret where you're feeling like something's already gone wrong that you can't solve. There may be some of that in here, but that's not what this card represents. This is really just, wow, can I maintain this? Am I going to be able to continue with what I need to continue here? And there's a tendency to kind of get a little bit worried about that, get a little bit lost in that. There's a feeling of disappointment. This one's not part of the reading, but I'll say kind of has that honorable mention feel to it. It's got the sense of disappointment in the overall situation and wishing it had never gotten to this point, wishing it had not started, something to that effect. With the Three of Coins here, it's a feeling that you may not be admitting this one to yourself, but your energies are actually working incredibly well in tandem right now, even though you aren't necessarily having that communication on the outside in that physical sense. Your energetic communication and back and forth in the energetic realm is a lot more consistent and equal than what you see in the physical. So there's a sense of the two of you really leveraging. We know, and you hear about it all the time, which is sometimes, I understand, a little frustrating for people. Can be very difficult to know that you're in union in the 5D, but you're not in the 3D, and you can't seem to make it work. Can't seem to make it come together in a way that both parties feel comfortable, well taken care of, things like that. And so there's kind of a frustration that builds with it, but also this sense of somewhere deep down, there's also that feeling of home and having gotten in on the ground floor, that sense of having had that soul recognition and then said, okay, you ready to learn this? Except that's the part you don't remember. We have the Ace of Wands here. This is, again, that feeling of a lack of motivation, feeling like not wanting to move forward. That feels like the most dangerous part of this energy, is that it has a tendency to want to kind of pull you down and make you get back into bed. And the thing is, it's, if you need to get back into bed because you're tired, that's one thing, but this isn't that. This is that sense of cloudy mind, cloudy everything that just makes you want to back off and stop. It's that feeling of not wanting to engage, not wanting to do anything too complicated. Let's see, is this part of it? Yeah, we've got the Tower, but it's coming in reverse once again. We've got the Tower coming in reverse, and it's a feeling of pushing it away. Like it's pushing this energy away of the healing, making it so that the healing almost can't take place. Like, I just don't have time for this right now. I'm not willing to take the emotional time for this right now. There's a lot of this is coming from your person, but you're feeling it in the energy around you. It is conducive to this. There is a strong desire to move towards what makes you happy. And so it's like it's a desire to move forward, but not a lot of motivation to do so. The best thing you can do, and this is advice that just kind of wants to come out, but the best thing that you can do is to take that desire to move towards something positive and combine it with that desire to figure out what's going to constitute. We've seen it over and over, the 9 of cups, your wish fulfillment. What is that going to look like? Because each of you and your person are theoretically on this path to figure out what happiness looks like and then figure out how to manifest it. And the tricky bit is it's always a changing picture. So there is a lot of drive to move toward this happiness, but there's also a lot of that force kind of pulling you back down into bed, that force saying, not now, we're just going to kind of deal with this later. And it ends up taking a long time, and you end up in the same situation where your person is, where a lot of time has passed and the confidence starts to wane. And that's what we see starting to happen over here. There's a fear of that happening because both of you know about that trajectory. So there is some desire to actually additionally move toward this happiness and not allow yourself to be weighed down by the depression element of things. Ultimately, what it results in is kind of a steady flow forward because there's such a strong desire to make things right and do things right. But that keeps changing. It's another one of those things that, just like that 9 of cups, where you're constantly trying to figure out what to change, and to figure out what is going to create that happiness. Figuring out what's going to create the balance is constantly a changing dance as well, because as things move around, balance looks a little bit different. So there's a steady stream of movement in the right direction, but my question is whether or not it is fast enough in this energy, because there's still a lot of resistance, a lot of pushing away, and a lot of feeling like that sense of not being ready. I was talking about this earlier where the Empress comes in. It's this feeling of not quite being ready. It's one of those cards that lately has come in as a perception card here in the collective readings pretty often. And so it's this feeling of, I'm not ready for this, but when you pan out, you look at it and you realize they really are ready, or you really are ready. It's a matter of not knowing it because this is something that has tripped you up in the past, but your recent healing has put you in a better position. And so this opportunity is going to develop you in a place that is really helpful, but one where maybe you feel like you're not quite ready, so you're pushing it away. You're pushing it away. We have the Tower card in reverse, the Death card in reverse. This is avoiding a change that needs to take place and feeling like there's a lack of readiness for it. But again, I'm feeling like there is probably more of a level of readiness here than what you might realize. So there's a lot of just discomfort in the energy that is around, but it feels like it's almost preparing you for something. The other day we had the energy of a brewing storm, and this almost feels like you're having to deal with, you're battening down the hatches and starting to deal with some of the winds that are blowing in different directions. Now, here's that trip that we were talking about, or not so much the trip as the quest. Okay, the quest for the 9 cups starts with the 8 of cups, which is the quest for that happiness, the quest for what is your wish fulfillment. This energy theoretically allows things to slow down a little bit for you so that you can reorient and make sure that you're moving properly along this path. So that's part of the advice, again, that wants to come out for you. But I think we're going to ask for, like, practically what could you be doing right now? I understand that allowing you to go with the flow, like going with the flow, would probably greatly improve things, but there's so little desire to get motivated to do much of a struggle. I don't feel like anyone needs to hear that quite as much. However, with the Tower card and the Death card in reverse, that makes me wonder, like, why is there so much resistance right now? And I think we're going to take a look at you and your person separately when we get into the extended to look at the resistance, because it feels like a very mutual resistance, but this goes beyond what we already know. This goes beyond what we know about the exhaustion. It feels like there's more to it. So I feel like let's get into that when we get into the extended, and we'll just kind of see where that takes us. But for now, we'll take a look at the advice, more of a practical type of advice for you. This is what you could be thinking of. We've got the Two of Water. Okay, this is that's essentially preparing yourself for partnership, but doing so psychologically. No, here it is. Two of Fire. This is earlier when I said something about this trip, and I said, well, not exactly a trip. Or I was thinking not exactly a trip. It's because there is some sort of trip or travel that's going to come up. It's available for you. Okay, we're going to keep this because there's nothing else coming out of this deck. This is an honorable mention. It's explaining why you don't go on the trip. So it isn't your plane is going to crash. It isn't that sort of don't go on the trip. It's there's an opportunity that you miss by going to some sort of thing, and it requires travel. So it's some sort of trip that you're being encouraged not to take because you miss an opportunity that you're going to wish you hadn't missed. I'm not convinced this opportunity that you missed doesn't still come from a social situation where you might have to travel across town, though. So weigh your trips carefully, because I feel like there might be more than one thing going on. You have Knight of Wands, which is part of why this other trip ends up being a waste of time. You've got something that is an opportunity for you, and you have something that looks like an opportunity, but with this Knight of Wands, it doesn't end up being much of an opportunity. So it's something that would be best to just kind of walk away from. You have something here that it's kind of a, oh, how can I talk about this? So this is you feel a need to learn something or to bring something into like your education, but what you might be misunderstanding is some of the resources out there might be below the level of what you require. So early in your career, you go and you sign up for trainings in all these different places to enrich yourself, and somewhere in the middle of your career you figure out some of these trainings are like you can't just blindly do that anymore. Too much of it is stuff that you would be able to teach. You've had the experience to be able to teach it now, or you don't require that same level of direction that you once did. And this is like a lesson like that, where this opportunity that looks like a potential opportunity but kind of isn't, it's not bad, nothing deceptive, nothing evil coming at you. It's just not worth it. The juice is not worth the squeeze, is what is what wants to come to me, and results in a missed opportunity over here for you as well. So we've got the Page of Coins here that comes out in the reverse. Page of Coins in the reverse. I'm sorry, Page of Cups in the reverse. Page of Coins in the reverse is already over here. Page of Cups in the reverse talks again about the missed opportunity that you would potentially have by not being able to utilize, by not being able to take this other It's like if you go on this other trip and miss this opportunity, there's a conversation that you miss, is what it looks like to me. But it helps to, there's something that either way, whether you go to this other trip or not, regardless of which opportunity wins out for you here, even if you end up not picking the right one, because I feel like it could be tough to tell which is the better of the opportunities and which one just looks like a decent opportunity. There's something that you still get to wrap up. It just takes a little bit longer. So this missed opportunity will take care of itself. So I wouldn't get too wrapped up in whether you're making the right choice when the choice comes to you. Just do what seems right. And if it seems like one is more genuine and legitimate than the other one, go for it. You've got some things to set right. Somebody you need to say something to, okay? Somebody that you need to say something to, but make sure that you're not doing it from the perspective perspective of the depression. Okay, so if you've got the depression going on with you right now, or you're being heavily impacted by your person's level of depression and you can feel it, make sure that whatever this conversation is that you want to have with somebody, um, and it may be the one that's delayed over here, but whatever this conversation is over here, make sure you're not doing it from the perspective of depression. And it seems like that may be very easy to do. There is this tendency for happiness to be difficult to come by right now, but it's not. It's for the best possible reasons, and maybe the most annoying. It's a perspective thing, but the thing is that this is something that you would be able to solve. So there's a matter of not being able to let go of something, and I don't feel it's an attachment to a person or an attachment to a situation or the outcome of a situation as much as it is attachment to the way you thought something was going to go. And this is about letting go of what those expectations, I guess that is expectations around a situation and their outcomes, maybe assumptions. Something didn't pan out according to expectation. It is not necessarily a bad thing, just not consistent with expectation. It's generating a lot of question about, is this what I really want? And these are the right questions for you to be asking, even though it's coming from something that you later are going to look at this and say, I don't even know why I questioned it that much. Doesn't matter. It's great for you to ask these questions. What was that? That just kind of flipped out. The Wanderer. So in the reverse, again, we've got this is the don't jump into everything that you receive card. This one's all about you're going to have multiple opportunities and to just be discerning about it. Again, it doesn't look like there's necessarily a super bad plan that you can take, but it's a matter of just don't take every opportunity that comes through. So the Six of Swords fell, just like we were talking about a little bit earlier. This is an opportunity here with this slow moving energy. It's an opportunity to give you some time to break things down and maybe understand a little bit more of what you're dealing with. A little bit more of a chance to understand what it is that all this resistance is about. We're going to break that out when we get into the extended, which we can now go do that. The link will be down below here if you get into the description, and we'll look at we're going to just dig in and see what wants to come out. Like, what is happening on your side with this energy? What is happening on their side with this energy? Because it is clear that it is more than what we can feel on the surface. And granted, we've gotten in a little bit deeper than on the surface here. I want us to get in nice and deep in the extended. So that's what we're going to go do. I look forward to seeing you there if you want to go. Otherwise, I will see you in tomorrow's reading.